Welcome to the Possibility Hub video series. I'm Carol Talbot, the creator and founder of the Possibility Hub, and an advocate for awakening, encouragement, and creating opportunities for an expansion of awareness and consciousness. In this episode, I'm in conversation with Agustin Rodriguez, an airline pilot with over 20 years' experience. And we're talking about his encounters with UFOs while he was flying, and how those experiences put him on the path of awakening and research into the unknown. Hello, Agustin. I'm really excited about this conversation and where it's going to go today. Because, when I speak to many people, on their path, on their journey to consciousness, awareness, and awakening, they often say that there was a pivotal moment that kind of like shifted in terms of their maybe trajectory of life, career path, or that they decided to perceive the world in a particular different way. And for you, I know that happened early on in your career as a pilot. And I'm very curious if what pilots see in the sky, and if you had other pilots who were seeing the same thing as you. So perhaps that's the starting point for our discussion today of what happened. What did you see that changed the trajectory and opened up for you an expansion of consciousness?
Hello, Carol. I love your energy. It's lovely to be here. And yeah, we pilots see many things in the sky, but we don't talk about it because it's some kind of cultural way in our career. But in my case, in 2009, I think it was January the 5th, we were flying from Panama in Central America to Colombia. And it was during the night, very clear night. And we were sending already to Cali Airport. And we saw a white light on our right. We call it 3 o'clock. And it was normal for us as we are always looking outside to see what is around us. Although we have an onboard radar, it has certain range and doesn't see everything. So we keep an eye outside always. And for us, at that point, it was an aircraft. That's pretty normal. But the thing is that the light was getting bigger and bigger, and we thought it was coming into us. At that time, at altitude, I think we were over 26,000 feet, and we shouldn't have the landing lights on. In that region, we used to set the landing lights at 10,000 feet. It's like 3 kilometers over the mean sea level. So that's a procedure that we have to be seen when we are approaching to an airport. So the thing is that that aircraft shouldn't have the white lights on, but with pilot can turn them on if they want, so that's okay. We asked the air traffic controllers if there was any aircraft around, and they said no, but we were quite surprised because we told them, no, we are telling you that there is an aircraft on our right and it's coming into us. Because to see the white lights like this, it's only if the aircraft is coming into you. If not, if it's going somewhere else, you will see a red light or a green light, which means red is left and green is right. So they say, no, Captain, there is no aircraft around you. And we thought that it was probably in the States. They have many aircraft based in Colombia to search the drug dealers and things like that. And maybe they were not using the transponder, which is the device that allows aircraft to communicate among each other and the traffic controllers. So they say, yeah, maybe the Americans are flying around and they are not using the transponder. Okay, but it was getting closer. And I was pilot flying that night. It means that I am the one controlling the aircraft controls. And the pilot, the captain in this case, I was the first officer, he is doing the radio and he is checking on me, on what the other guy is doing. So I put my hands on the controls, even though we had the autopilot engaged, and it came closer. But at some point, I saw clearly a device or an aircraft, or not something from this planet, as far as we know about what we can fly next. It was a big white bubble of light, very bright light, but it's a bright light that you can actually look at. It's not blinding you. So it was very weird light. It was not really emit light, as you see I don't know, the lights from a truck that it's enlightening everything around, but this one was just pure light. And of course, I understood at that point, as I have always been an open person, open-minded person, that this was not from this planet. And I start, for some reason, I don't know why, thinking in my mind, come close. So I was sending this thought, come closer, and it was coming closer and closer and closer, at a point that it shocked me, and I thought it was going to crash into our aircraft. That was quite, I don't know, frightening at some point. I just reacted.
I mean, were you scared, and were you flying passengers or cargo?
Yeah, we were flying passengers, and yeah, and I was not afraid of the thing. I was totally, I don't know, neutral, and I was thinking in my mind, come closer, but it came so close that at that point, yes, I just reacted. It was an instinctive reaction, and I was going to dive the aircraft with the nose down to avoid it. And at that exact millisecond point, it just stopped and moved 90 degrees horizontally to the front, did 3 blinks, and disappeared. That was for us, as you can imagine, something that no human device or aircraft or whatever can do, mostly if there is a person inside, because the G-force is going to destroy that person immediately with that turn. I mean, it was instantly. It was a 90-degree instant turn at the exact millisecond that I was going to dive the aircraft and do the avoid maneuver, which was going to be chaos in the back, because it's people standing up, the stewardess, they are arranging everything, and they are walking along the aisle. So yeah, but it never happened, as their reaction was faster than my instinctive reaction. So it was quite amazing. We were amazed again for what happened, because our brain couldn't react or couldn't figure it out. That kind of movement you're not expecting. So we didn't have any background to understand what it was. So for a few seconds, we were like, I don't know, freeze. And well, later on, of course, we came back, let's say. Everything was perfect in the aircraft, no failure at all. Everything was very smooth. And we reported to the air traffic controllers and say, hey, we have an near miss here with something, with a vehicle, and it just went off. And well, they said, we're going to inform the Colombian Air Force, and that's it. We never heard about them later on. We landed their aircraft in Cali perfectly, and we came back to Panama, and that's it. That was the experience. No one asked anything about that before, and we never reported that to the company as well, just because these things are not the ones that you want to report, just because you know what could happen. Yeah.
And so it wasn't just you who saw this, it was all of you in the cockpit, or did also some of the passengers report that they'd seen something?
We did not have any reports from the passengers or the cabin crew, but the captain and me, we saw it, yes.
Okay, and so did you and the captain discuss it afterwards in terms of what was that? Or is it because you said you had a sense inside of you that things were going to be okay? You know, as it came to you, you were just about to nosedive, but then it flashed 3 times. How did you know that it was not threatening?
No, the feeling was, I don't know, was nice. I never felt a threat. I was excited about it. I was amazed. I think that's the word. You are looking at something that you never saw before, and you know, and I repeat, as far as I know about what can fly in this planet, that is not from this planet. So it was very exciting. At some point, I had to say that I was saying also, take me with you. In my mind, I was repeating, like, come closer, take me with you. That never happened, but yeah, I was really excited, up to the point that, of course, I thought it was going to crash, and this instinctive reaction came up.
Now, was that a one-off experience, or have you seen more aircraft? Did it happen again soon after that, or did you have to wait a long time before you started seeing more craft?
That was 2009, and that triggers my research, and my kids came up to this planet, and I was quite busy doing the research and being a father for the first time and the second time. So I was not really into it. But in 2015, I moved to Dubai in Middle East, and I started working, flying the Boeing 777 there for the local company. And the experiences started to happen more often there. Yeah.
In what way were they happening? And also one other thing, Agustin, do they always happen at night? Have you seen UFOs daytime?
Let me think about it for a second. I don't remember myself seeing them during daylight now, because for me it worked like in a pattern, or in a way that I could understand it, I guess. And most of my experiences happened on board, and it was during the night, and it happens with flashes in the sky, seeing them flying around these balls of light. But later on, of course, when I understood what it was, because I could finally communicate with the people on board, I guess, I started seeing them in the desert when I was doing my meditations there. With the group that I later on formed as well, and in some cities when I was abroad, and yeah, contact was quite often.
Did you notice that it was contact was easier in certain parts of the world rather than others?
Actually, yes. And I have the first page of most of the flights that I did when I saw them. And I kept this first page of the flight plan that it's telling you all the data, where are you going, what's the route and everything. And I was marking the waypoint where I was looking at them. So yeah, there are hotspots, and I could say that the area between Middle East and India is a hotspot. And let's see, maybe, yeah, the Indian Ocean to the south. Europe, not very often. Over coming out of Turkey, when you were flying over Europe, we were crossing Turkey and then going down through Iran or Iraq. That's another place that I used to see them often. And let's see, we had great one flying over Canada as well. That was a very clear one. And that's it. I think those are the hotspots, at least for me.
So you've seen UFOs now literally hundreds of times. When and how was it that you got that understanding that there was some sort of communication going on between you and, you said you felt there were beings, it was a craft and there were beings on this craft, or how did that come about, that you got that understanding and you started that communication, that kind of like dialogue?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you for that. And I was flying in these 777s back in Dubai. And one day it was a night flight, cruise flight. Everything was smooth, clear night. And I was remembering that first encounter. And in my mind, again, I was wondering about the universe, looking at the stars outside as I used to. And it's lovely view that you have as a pilot from that point. And it came to my mind again to ask, are you there? And for my surprise, I saw a flash in the sky on my right hand side and say, what is it? What is this? So at that moment, of course, my rational mind just said, no, that might be something
It's like
random.
times, if it happens 3 times, then it's true. So do it again.
Yeah.
Lighter, exactly.
Yeah, no, that was random. That was maybe some kind of shooting star or something. No, it cannot be. So next flight, during the night, cruise flight, and again I said, I'm going to try again. I said, are you there? And for my surprise, it was a big flash on my right hand side again, and 3 times, and again. And at that point, I couldn't understand what is going on. I see myself from this point now, and I laugh when I remember that. I told them, don't you have something to do, work or something? Why are you behind me all the time? So I couldn't understand, of course. But then the communications in my dream state started. The communication with my guides started. They started teaching me things and showing me things. And they show me that I have chosen myself to come to this planet and do what I do, which is to bring awareness about this to people who is open to it. And that was amazing to see that agreement was being fulfilled. And that was amazing to experience that I forgot about that and they were there to remind me.
So you mentioned your guides. So when did you become aware that you had guides? Was it before all this started, or was it as this started you became aware that you had guidance and you had guides that you could communicate with?
Well, I come from a normal family. Let's say I don't have any.
Really?
Yeah. Well, sort of. I don't know if a normal family exists, but what I mean is I don't have any religious background or mystical background or any knowledge, or was not in my family that they were teaching me about guides or things like that. So until I was, I don't know, 33, I was not thinking about guides or anything like that, any non-spiritual background or interest at all. And what happened is after the first time I saw it, I started researching and I start digging into it, and I understood that we come to this planet and we have guides and there is a spiritual world and all this. And as I had now the knowledge, later on when I was in Dubai, I was meeting very nice people who was teaching me about this. And just one day they start communicating me through dreams, and I start hearing their voices when I was waking up in this middle point where between I'm not really sleeping, but I'm not really awake. I could still hear them talking to me.
So it's the hypnagogic state they often talk about, isn't it? That, as you said, the hypnagogic state, which is between sleep and waking. So a very unique point.
Yeah, so I used to stay very quiet in that moment because I could see the pattern and how it works, because they were working with me always in the same way. They were showing the lights in the sky when I was flying and trying to tell me, hey, there is something here for you. And then these dreams started happening. And so I used to stay quiet. And then I learned that I had to write my dreams to enhance my memory, and that happened. And one day, it looks like my question was, who or what is God? And I remember that very clear, and I put that example in my website. And they explained to me, they something like they say, look at a cell in your body. That cell has consciousness. It has a work to do, goes from this point to the other. It takes oxygen. I don't know, many things. It heals you. And say, but this cell doesn't know that you are Agustin and you are a pilot and you live in Dubai and you are in the solar system or whatever. But it just does what it has to do. So this come outside and look at yourself as a group of cells. Come even more, zoom out and look at the country that you live in. Look at the continent that you live in. Look at the planet that you live in. Look at the solar system that you live in. Look at the galaxy that you live in. And they told me that that galaxy is one cell of the one infinite creator. That is God. So that for me was a pivotal moment to have this understanding coming from my guides. It was quite useful and quite amazing to me.
I like the fact that you also said this all started to happen or become more accelerated at the age of 33. And of course, 33 is a master number. And I know from one of the mentors that I study with, 33 is meant to be a sort of peak when everything starts to come together and we're into the next trajectory. I'm also curious that I believe you have an ability to literally call in these UFOs, these beings, not just so that you can see and communicate with them, as you did when you said, "Are you there?" and they sort of flashed, and then again and again and again. And now that you've been able to do that, not just for yourself, but when you've been in the sky, maybe with other pilots or out in the desert, you've been able to sort of call them in and ask them to show themselves. So is there a specific method you use to call them in?
I just think about them and I ask, and they are there. So, and what I try to do nowadays is to explain people that this is open to anyone, not just for me because I'm special or something, because it's not the case, but it's for everyone. Everyone can make contact. Everyone is in contact all the time. And
Exactly.
it's just about you cannot not be exactly. And the thing is, we have zero or none knowledge about the metaphysical world, that let's say, or reality, and we just think that we are material beings, and that's all. But we are all connected among each other, among other species, among everything, because we are part of that one infinite creator. And it happened one day that I met a person. It was she was a numerologist, and she was interested in what I was doing. And another person told me, "Hey, let's to her. She wants to know you because she's interested in UFOs." So I went there, and she ended up doing the numbers for me. That was great. And I explained what I was doing, and I told them, because she was very interested, you want to try, you want to go and give it a try. And she said, "Really? Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, let's go." So that night we went to the desert in Al-Qura in Dubai, and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to just focus. I'm going to ask them where they are. They're going to show the lights to me, and you're going to see them. I said, "Really? Yes, that's simple. Yes, no mystery here." So we were talking, and I was looking to the sky, and I was asking, "Where are you? Are you there?" And they show a flash of light, and say, "Okay, ladies, look, it's above us, top of our heads, right there." I say, where? And they were looking at the sky, and I say, "Right there. Look, just wait." And then flashes start happening, like poof, 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 many flashes of light. They were so excited. They were so excited that I said, oh my God, I didn't know that people was going to be so excited about that. So I decided to teach people how to do it. And I started taking people to the desert and having these experiences. And then, of course, I was doing this from the aircraft as well with other pilots. And it was an amazing experience. And the thing that I need to say here is that my guides were showing me in dreams who I need to speak with. They were showing me like, I don't know, like a movie, something like that in my mind, in my dream state. And the same things or things related to that happen in the real life. So that was how I understood that they were telling me who I need to speak with. So in this case, as I was a pilot, the people I was targeting, let's say, were pilots and cabin crew. So in one of these dreams, I remember I was a soldier, and I was doing training with my friends, and I was in the UK. I was in the UK Army. Why do I know that? How? Just because in one scene of this dream, I was next to the Queen Elizabeth. She being like 20 years younger, and when I woke up, I said, "Why do I have this dream with this lady that I don't really care about any queens or things like that?" So, okay. But that day, I flew with a captain that was from the UK. And when I started talking to him, he told me that he was a soldier before, which it's quite amazing because for pilots, either you come from the Air Force or some branch of flying branch from any branches of the army. Like, yeah, the army has helicopters, have planes in some countries, but he was a soldier. He was just on the ground.
On the ground.
Yeah, on the ground. He was not a pilot in the army. So and I said that when I asked him, and where exactly were you working? He said, oh, I was working in Buckingham Palace. Really? And have you ever met the Queen? He said, yes, many times. Huh. So how come I have a dream that I'm a soldier in the UK Army and I met the Queen and then I fly with the captain that had that career? And so I understood that this is the person I need to talk with. And I start talking to him slowly about these things. And we ended up in a deep conversation about the spirituality and UFOs. And it happens that his grandfather was a World War II fighter pilot. And he is telling me that his grandfather wrote a book about these Foo Fighters, about these bubbles of light that were flying around his aircraft. And on top of that, he is telling me that his grandma was a cabin crew from British Airways, and she saw once one of these bubbles coming into the aircraft, flying along the aisle and departing through the tail of the aircraft. And everyone on the aircraft saw it. So I understood that I was in the right path because I was talking to the right person, that he was okay with the information that was being presented. And on top of that, he was giving me feedback about the existence of these things. So I think I was being used in some way as the awakener, as the person giving them what they need to start their awakening or continue with it or whatever, a piece of the puzzle, I don't know. And it started happening more often, and I started doing that, talking to pilots, talking to cabin crew, talking to people. And then when we were flying, they said, you want to see them? I said, really? Yes. So I've been flying for 20, 30 years and I never saw anything. Well, today you might. And I was calling them and they were just flashing the lights in the sky. So they were, of course, like quite amazed of what was going on because you have been flying for 20, 30 years and you have never seen that. and I tell you that it's going to happen and it happens. So is that a coincidence? Well, for some of them, yes, it was a coincidence. I understand that. They say, oh, that might be a satellite or something. Yeah, it might. But okay, I did that many times, and it happens, and it was amazing to see that we are in contact with this being just using our thought.
That shows you that, you know, our memories, you know, are all there to tap into in the unified field, as you did with that other pilot, and, you know, that he was a soldier, and that was incredible. But it also shows us that we have the ability to switch on the light, so to speak, excuse the metaphor, for other people, because as I'm sure many pilots see these things and then do their best to, you know, use their mind to say, no, it was a satellite, it was this, it was that, rather than open, as your first experience opened you up to a greater consciousness and set you on a trajectory to maybe switch on the light and open the door for other people. Now, we're coming to the sort of the top of the half hour, but you've mentioned several times, Agustin, they, when you talk about, you know, these flashing lights and what you see in the sky. And so I'd like to take our next conversation and just maybe give a teaser to the people watching this, to find out more about who they are, because I know I've heard you speak about Tegeta and the Tegetans, and if that's who they are that you're referring to. So do you want to sort of just tease a little there before we close today?
Well, let me tell you two things before I forget. You said about pilots trying to explain what they saw, and yes, that was one trigger in my investigation after 2009. I was asking pilots, have you ever seen something? And some say no, some say yes. A lot of them say yes, even during the day, describing shapes and forms and drawings in the vehicles and everything.
Yeah,
so
most don't talk about it, which is a shame.
None of them talk about it because it's some cultural thing that we have, but we can talk about that in the next episode as well. But coming back to the races and who they are, along my experience and my public speakings about this, I met, I could say, some of them, or I don't know how to explain, you know, the story, but yes, you mentioned Taiheta, and yes, they walk among us. And actually, there is 2 times that they have told me races or constellations or whatever, which is Andromeda and Andromedans and Arcturians. Those are the only 2 times that I had some kind of race or whatever. But actually, those who make the flashes or are around me, I don't really know who they are. But what else I can say? I don't know. Probably next time we can dig deeper on that information.
Okay. Well, it's certainly been an interesting conversation, and I know we've only just opened the door. So if you're watching this, we're going deeper, much deeper, because this also opens the door to the Rama teachings, the Law of One, and many other pathways that this has led you into, and also to set up Awakened Travelers. So, and I'll put links to Awakened Travelers below this video as well. So Agustin, thank you very much. Until the next time we speak, have a wonderful day. You're in Spain, so enjoy the day.
Yes, enjoying the sunny coast here in Spain. And it was lovely to speak with you, as always is. And I'd be grateful to be here again. Thank you.